Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's topic. We are going to talk about something that I think is very crucial and important to every one of us. We want to talk about depression. As we all understand, this is a mental health month. So I think it is very relevant when we come out and talk about depression because this is something that is real and is happening to most of us. And we can avoid it, but it's still with us. So I have a team here that we are going to tackle it with. And so I'll request each one of them to introduce themselves before we continue.
Hello, my name is Beth Wairimo.
And my name is Billy Daniel.
Hello, everyone. I'm Donald Miseda.
Hi, my name is Sherin Auma.
Oh, my name is Melcy Awino.
I'm Esther Opondo.
My name is Janet Masharia.
My name is Okwanalo Williams Warren.
Hi, my name is George Oswald.
Now, we have an outline here that we discussed as a group, and we are going to use this so that we tackle the whole situation well. So we are supposed to start with a fatal case. We are supposed to really bring out a case study of depression. It could be from someone that you know, it could be you, or maybe you read about it. So I'll share a story of a story that I shared before of my high school classmate that was depressed. So back in 2019, that was last year, I saw this guy in Kisumu, and personally I felt like maybe this guy is not okay, but then I couldn't reach out because of maybe the situation or the current situation. So later on this year, I mean last month, it was noticed, or I came to notice that this guy was depressed, and not only depressed, he did even killed himself. So this was a young guy, a bright law student who decided to take away his life because maybe he couldn't find someone to talk to, or maybe because he didn't find somewhere or someone suitable to really address the problem too. So it really caught up my mind, and I was really wondering why would a young man of that caliber, a young bright man, kill himself? And so I realized that depression is not only something that we read or see in movies, or maybe think it's happening to people we don't know. It's something that is happening to people that are around you. It could happen to your sibling, it could happen to your father, it could happen to your mother, it could happen to your younger sister, bro, or cousin, anyone. And so I believe that this guy could have reached someone, or could have found it, or could have taken an initiative to talk to someone about the problem, maybe, or maybe not, but I think to a bigger percentage he could have got the help that he required, because I believe someone around him could have maybe helped him solve the problem. I didn't really find out what the problem is, but what was coming out was this guy has been depressed for a very long time, and reason were not clear, but school was part of it, and he couldn't find someone to talk to because I think I was getting from another source that he tried talking to the father, but the father told him, we ni mwanaume, we ni mwanaume, unafaa ukae ngumu. So alikaa ngumu hadi akajinyonga, and I think that is so bad because he was a really young guy who is not supposed to die at that tender age. So I think this is something that is with us, and we really need to address it. So as the youths of St. Thomas Aquinas, I think it's a good initiative that we picked up this topic of depression, but in general it is mental health. And I think everyone's mental health is a key to success, to your studies, to your existence, and that should be very pure. Like you should be very, very clean in your mind, in your thoughts, so that you do things the right way. So we're going to start an open discussion. It is open, and it should be, I think we should just not do this for St. Thomas Aquinas, but to really reach out to someone out there who maybe wants to get a voice from someone. It should not also be only addressed to the youths, because we are going to really realize that depression doesn't only affect the youth. It is something that I think personally goes across all the ages. So just going to have a chat of what you think about depression, what is depression, and we can go on from then. So I think maybe we should get two definitions, because from maybe a female and a male, of what depression is.
Maybe let me try. I don't know the medical definition of it, or even the standard definition, but from what I think that depression is a state of mind when someone is having negative thoughts. It doesn't see any hope, so most of them resort to suicide, or it can even degrade to mental illness. But I think that's a state of extreme hopelessness when you don't see any future, you don't see anything positive.
Okay, I think that is so clear to us. Another definition of depression, maybe from a female now.
For me, I think it is a mental disorder whereby you have a lot of stress. You have many things that you are thinking about, and it is making you to really go down as a person.
Okay, anyone else who maybe, yes, Jano?
To support what they are saying, I would say depression is a mood disorder that is characterized by extreme low energy. That is, someone may feel sadness, emptiness, and worthlessness. You have no reason for living, and so you can also have thoughts of suicide. And so this extreme low energy also affects your daily activities, or the way you do your daily activities. Yes.
I really think that is also so clear. So I have also a perspective that will just meet up what they're saying. There are things that we, as human being, we do on a daily basis. There are things that we do on a regular basis. There are things that really define humanity. So I think depression is that state where you find that you've lost interest in things that you love, and in things that we should, or things that we always do on a daily basis. So at that state that you find you are unstable, and you starting to lose interest from things you love, you're losing interest from your hobbies, you're losing interest from your company, then I think that could also be a sign of depression, and I think that could also be a basic definition of what depression is. Yes. So from that segment, because all what you're saying are true about definition, about depression, or definition of depression, maybe we would go and tackle what do you guys think the sign or symptoms of depression, or someone who is depressed. You look at me and say, because I'm doing this and that, I look like I'm depressed. So basically, someone, or one each as we go. Sign and symptoms of depression. If you notice something from someone, you'd say, or you'd pre-assume. It must not be factual, but you'd pre-assume that maybe I'm depressed, or he's depressed.
Lack of concentration, is one sign that I can say it is you are depressed. Like when you are walking, and then someone calls you, and then you don't hear. Then mkipatana na yeah, it has happened to me even in school. Then for headaches, yes.
Thank you, Beth.
Okay, I may say that when a person is depressed, sometimes you find that he or she doesn't need company. Sometimes he tries to avoid people. You find that he or she is lonely. He or she is doing its own things alone. So he doesn't need company. He don't want any company. You find that if Donald was my friend, I'm trying to avoid Donald because I'm stressed. That is the time now I want just to, because there's something pressing me. I need to be alone. I don't want to expose something which I'm passing through. So I better live alone. I better stay lonely so that you may not even, because by the time you are asking person the challenge he or she is passing through, it is so difficult to tell you that I'm passing through this, and because that thing is still in the mind, and even the time you are talking to that person, you can notice that he or she is not cooperating. He is not in the same state with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Sharing.
Another sign of depression is lose of interest in the things that the people love. Let's say your hobbies, even change of your behavior. If you love doing this thing, you stop doing it. That is one of the signs.
Thank you.
Okay, I think another sign is anger. Yani unapata you are really angry at other people. Yeah.
Another sign I can say is that one can have a suicidal thoughts, maybe attempting to commit murder.
I would also say someone can start having weird behaviors like eating disorders. You can either eat too much or even lack appetite.
Me, from my point of view, I can say it's the low vibration. Somebody has been having a higher zeal, and then you see that vibration which the person had, he was happy. The vibration starts coming down, dimming, because maybe he's unstable mentally, physically, even emotionally. That's basically what I can say about someone who is depressed.
Thank you, George.
Another sign that I can think of is change of sleeping pattern, where you find that somebody begins to sleep too much or begin to not to sleep at all. So you have like insomnia, you can't sleep at night. Or maybe you sleep a lot at night, even during the day, because you are depressed. I think that change of sleeping pattern can be a sign of depression.
Okay, thank you. All that have been mentioned, I think, are critical signs of depression. I would add agitation or irritation. When you realize that when someone is talking to you or when someone does something that in real sense shouldn't offend you, you get offended so easily. That could also be a sign that you're depressed. Another fact that maybe other people don't know, when you start losing weight, it could be a sign that you're depressed. And when you start gaining weight, it's a two-way. Yeah, you might gain or lose weight. That could be a sign of also depression. I'm not ruling other factors that might make you lose weight. So it's not one of the major, but it is a sign of depression. And as all of you have said, sleeping pattern, the energy that you emit is now low, or maybe you're emitting a negative energy. You're just thinking of maybe killing yourself, and all that we've mentioned are really key factors in noticing that one is really depressed. So I want to go to the next segment, and this segment, it's an open one. It's what you think, then we can really discuss with the facts that you have. Who do you think is the most vulnerable person to depression? Like, is it male? Is it female? Okay, is it the old? Is it the young? It's an open discussion. Again, I will start to let me start to my left now.
Personally, I don't think that depression is something that respects age or gender. I think anybody of any gender or any age can get it. But I think that it affects more people who are not economically active. Maybe you don't have a job at that time. Your finances are down, and what follows from there is that you'll find that your friends become very few, and that exposes you to depression. It doesn't matter your age, but given that the higher proportion of the people who are jobless are young people, I think that's why we see most young people taking their lives and are undergoing a depression more than the old people.
Okay, thank you.
From my point of view, what I can think about depression affecting somebody mostly is if you don't know yourself better, if you haven't done that soul searching to know yourself, who you are, what your purpose is here, that's when you'll get depression knocks you off the edge, because you are not able to control your emotions overpower your intelligence, so that make you very unstable and you are easily affected by the depression.
Thank you.
What I can say is depression is not gender-based, and it's not bound to age or status quo. Reason being, you'll find male, female, according to society, we are in different arenas. And so predisposing factors will be determined by the atmosphere where you spend most of your life in, or what you are predisposed to. If it comes to age, you find that there are children who suffer from depression, childhood depression. Then if you get to adolescence and puberty, that age of teenage, self-discovery, there is middle crisis. Then for older people, you'll find that there is it's called menopause. You can fall to menopause depression. So any age, it cuts across. Anyone can be affected by depression, or you can suffer from depression. Then you'll find that when it comes to male and female, for women, I think we are so emotional. We are social beings. We are more open. And I'm able to share my feelings. I'm able to open up, to share my feelings with friends, with whoever I come across. And so you'll find that I will not be drowned to the last result of depression than men who have been defined by society not to talk about their moods, or to feel vulnerable. So a man tends to fall a victim to a last result of depression, and that's why you'll find most men are the ones who commit suicide than women. And reason being, society has perceived them not to open up. Else you just find that a man feeling vulnerable and feeling depressed tend to make them embrace other alternative behavioral changes, and that's why you find most men violent, most men abusing drugs. Reason being, they are just dealing with the depression inside of them, but most likely they don't know, or that is the best way they know how they can deal with depression.
Okay. I think Esther, you'll do the last bit of that question of what you think. Who is the most vulnerable between male and female, and age-wise, who is most vulnerable to depression, so that we don't really consume a lot of time.
For me, age-wise, I think it affects every a child, an adult. It affects everyone. We cannot quote a certain age that if you are 7 years old, you cannot be depressed, because you will find in a home where a child grows, maybe is exposed to violence, and this may make that child to be prone to depression. Gender-wise, I think female and male, both of us are very we are prone to be depressed.
Okay. I think from this side we'll tackle the next bit of that question. So to just to really finalize on that bit, I also believe that no gender is more vulnerable than the other. The only problem or the only difference that comes out has been outlined well by Jano. Like men, we don't easily open up, but in real sense we are depressed. But then I did a research earlier on, and it was saying, according to WHO, that females are twice depressed than men. I didn't want to argue it out, but I think maybe if they did that research, and I'd think that maybe they did that research on a perspective of maybe who opened up to them more than the other. So I think if that research was done on both genders, I think maybe they could discover that more female are depressed than men, or than males, because maybe more females opened up to the system, and so they could find more females depressed than the men. But I think to everyone out there, everyone is vulnerable to depression, and children get depressed, teens get depressed, youths get depressed, and old people also get depressed. Yes, unless someone is having an contra. Yes, Warren.
Maybe there where they say female are more depressed, what I think is maybe if the female in most cases has trust issues and she has no one to speak to, so she will have that, she'll be more twice depressed than the male, because the first thing, she has problem with trust issues. She can't speak to anyone, and that will cause her to even be more depressed than the male at that point.
Okay, thank you. I think every point here is counting, because what you're talking about or what you guys are addressing are real life situations. These are things that we have faced or you have seen someone face, right? So to the next segment, I'll start with Melcy. I want to ask you this. Why do you think, or what do you think are the causes of depression what do you think are the causes of depression in youth? Like in teens, I mean. You are a teen. So what do you think what could cause, or what could be the causes of depression?
Okay, I think some of the causes of depression, is these relationship issues. Sasa unaona kila mtu anataka kuwa na like tuseme you are not loved. Tuseme wewe ndo unananga, wewe ndio ule, I don't know how to bring it, but mnaelewa, si ndio? Yeah. So I think that one can cause depression. Another thing, what can cause something else that can cause depression in teens is about their parents. How their parents venye wanajipresent in other people. You see, you can be comparing your parent to other people's parent. Let's say mzazi wako ajui kuvaa something of the sort, watu wanakucheka, like tunaona kila mtu anataka kueform, si ndio? Hakuna mwenye anataka mzazi wake amwaibishe. That's the other thing.
Okay, I think that everyone here who has passed through high school could maybe see someone do what she's really talking about, and truly it is a cause of depression. Unajua mzazi wako anaweza tokea alafu uone ama watu wengine wakuchekelee, and then you feel bad. And I also think when it comes to parenthood, it depends to teens also. It depends with maybe how the parent is handling the issues. Unajua tunaweza kuwa na issues kama teens, like maybe I went out but there's a way how my parent is really handling that situation. Maybe I went out and came back home late, and that there's a way he's handling or she's handling that also leads to that kid or that teen getting depressed. Yes. You are not, now we'll talk about now the causes of depression in youths. Okay, to that point I'll start with you, Sharon.
Thank you very much. I think one of the causes of depression to the youth, social media. First is social media, because at the age of, let's say, 19 or 20 and above, let's say 20 to 26, it is that point where we need to explore more of what the world is saying. I need to Google this and know how to maybe present myself. I see like maybe my friend, ako sawa kabisa kwa social media. Unapata amepost, amepaka makeup, amefanya nini, na mimi sijui kufanya vitu kama hizo. Inafanya like unasema my friend is at a certain level or maybe at a certain standard that I also must be at that standard. You get that we set our standards according to social media. But one thing we need to understand as youths is that social media is not part of our life cycle. That is what we need to put in our minds, that I do not need to compare myself using social media. I do not need to set my standard according to my partner or according to my friend, my family, anywhere around us, or maybe in the environment that you are in. You get that he has more followers than me, and I'm like, no, haunipiti. We set our standards to social media. Social media is only meant for interactions, but not to compare our lives to other people. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Yes, Dan.
Okay. On my part, I would say when you come to the youth age, you find that so many youths are depressed when we come in the sign of a relationship. Now, this is the time you find that you are focusing on one thing, relationship. And by the time you have started a relationship as a youth, you have this in mind that I'm going to be successful in this relationship. And it comes a time that you find yourself, things are messing. And because you have been investing in relationship more than anything else, you find by the time things now are messing, that is now the time you start thinking about it. Like, for example, you end a partner, and it has come a time that now the partner want to leave you, or you want to leave her. That's so, because it's something you have been doing, and it's something you are putting in mind that I must have this, and without this I would do. Sometimes you find even so many youth are losing jobs because of a relationship, because by the time now your relationship now has sunk, you don't cooperate, you don't have anything else to think about, unless now you get someone who is going to guide you about relationship. This is something we have been passing. I personally, this is out of experience, not speaking. So you find that by the time you are focusing much on relationship, that you are not thinking about anything else. By the time things goes wrong, that is the time now you are really depressed. And you come to youth, you find most of them are committing suicide Others are just jumping up from a flats, are dying because of. Okay. So in this part, so relationship, it has affected the youth in the side of depression.
Money can cause depression to the youth.
So it has been mentioned from teens to youth that maybe parents or parenthood might be a cause of depression, social media, relationship, money, and so I would add maybe the last point. I think also goals, expectations. When someone is expecting something to happen and he has a timeline, and then at the end of that timeline, that he or she was to achieve hasn't happened, then you realize that these people get down, or they get mental breakdown because they haven't achieved. And I think everything that has been talked about, these are things that we really see. Social media tuna competingi, ule amevaa hii, mi sijavaa hii. Alafu pia mzazi wako, mi kwanza mzazi wangu alikuwa ananiambia ati ninyoe nywele, nasikia huyu ananipima. Alafu relationships, we get into this, and then you are a youth or you are a teenager, you still don't know how it works. Then it reaches a point in life that it breaks, and the only thing you believed in is that person, and you realize you can't have them anymore. So what you devote to is maybe kill yourself. You get depressed, and I think relationship and social media is I'd term them one of the biggest reason why we get depressed. Yes. So I'd go to the next segment of now we have talked about the sign and symptoms of depression. We have realized what depression is. We have also talked about what we think brings about depression. So I would ask us, what do you guys think are the impact of depression? Like today, if I'm depressed, what would be the impact to myself? What would be the impact to the next person, my neighbor, my sibling? What would be the impact to the church? And what would be the impact to the society?
The positive side of depression is it will help me to awaken. It will help me to know myself better. It will help me to go deeper and know the cause of that depression, the root of what caused that depression. But on the negative side, it may pose a lot of challenges, which may even affect the people around me, making them worry, and even it may make my parents be more depressed than me.
Okay, thank you. Are you saying depression has a positive impact to us? I
Yes.
want us to discuss that. Someone else, how do you think depression has argue your point? Hii ni kama literature. Ukiargue vizuri sawa. How does depression impact us positively? Yes.
I think the positive side may come out if you eventually overcome it.
True.
When you come through it, and on the other side, maybe you are more able to help someone else going through it, or maybe you will discover some strengths that lies within you that maybe you didn't even know about.
True.
But when you are going through it, I don't think there's any positive that
So
can come
that
out.
is a dependable variable. It only depends with if you could manage to come out of it. But then if you don't manage to come out of it, it could be a challenge. So true, when you get out of that depression, it could show you a lot. It could show you your underlying strength. It could also make you maybe realize some personalities in you, like maybe you can fight this, and that could be a positive impact. But then I think the negative impacts are more than the positive impact. So quickly, I'd pick. Yes, Esther, one negative impact of depression.
One, it is death. When one thinks about committing suicide and eventually does that, I think depression will cause death.
Kuna kujitoa ama kujitoa ni kujitoa kitanzi
Ni kujitia kitanzi.
kujitia kitanzi.
Yeah, exactly.
That one. Yes, Melcy.
Okay, I think loneliness is a negative side of depression.
Yes, because you tend to retract or get away from people, you'll be lonely, and that is something so bad. Being lonely is not something good, right? Yes, so death, loneliness. Yes, the next person,
Sickness.
sickness. Who is going to explain that to us? Because it is true. Briefly.
I can say that sickness can be a result of depression, in that there is loss of weight, there is back pains. We also realize that depression does not affect only the mind, it affects also the body.
Okay, that is very true. I want to just add before I forget. Another thing, WHO is saying that depression is one of the biggest factors that brings physical injuries. Because you are depressed, you'll try cutting your wrist. Because you are depressed, you'll try. Kuna watu wako depressed hadi wana knock walls, so that is very true. Yes, George.
I wanted to mention another effect of depression: low performance at work. Maybe before you are depressed, you are doing really well at work, and then you find your performance going down, maybe at work or even at school. So I think that's also one of the negative effects of depression.
Yes, that is also true. So I'll talk about sickness, or you said sickness. Yes. So depression has stages. So there's mild, there's severe, and there's that acute part of it. So you realize that like I also have another scenario of a guy also. Huyu nasa tulikuwa naye Kole. He was a nursing student. He was depressed. Depressed because of relationship plus performance. And so you realize it took time, and now because he was a medic, no one wanted to really get to it because they believe no, a medic shouldn't be depressed because they know what to do. And it went to a point that it was a psychiatric issue. You know, psychiatric issue sasa hiyo ni ugonjwa, wewe ni mwenda wazimu. Hiyo sasa lazima udunge masindano. You go to Madare, you go to Kakamega, you go to Kisumu, the psychiatric wards. So depression could impact that in you. Slowly by slowly, if it is not addressed, you might end up to the psychiatric level that now you have to be attended to, like it could be a psych issue. So disease or what he's talking about can also be true. Anything else, someone, to finalize on that? Something? Oh, okay. So now that we have talked about the impacts of depression, I want us to now talk about our point number 7 here. I'll use myself as a case. Now you have realized that Dawn ako depressed. I want 2 females and 2 males to give me an approach. I'm depressed. You know I'm depressed. Now I want you to give me an approach that will help me. You need to help me get through my points. The approach, it's not necessarily to be you to do it. Maybe you can find a way to help me get to the relevant authority. But then I think there's a system. There's a hierarchy on how we should do it, so that these are the people, or the person who is depressed doesn't feel like you're really interfering with their space. Okay, I'll rephrase it again, or I'll reframe it again. How do you help someone who is depressed? How do you notify the relevant authority that this person is depressed? How do you help the depressed people? How would you help a depressed youth? Esther, we ni chairman wa youth, so niko depressed, help me.
First, nitakuona, nitajua uko depressed, and maybe I'll approach you and nikuulize nini ndio mbaya, nini nakusumbua. You tell me the story as to why you are depressed, and maybe for me I'll tell you to seek help to to the our watu wa UC. Yeah, when they UC, because I think I don't have anything to nitakurefer, I will refer you to somebody who will help you.
Umesema ati nitakuambia story na nisipokuambia. Unaweza notice niko depressed, but maybe I want to talk about it, but you really need to help me, because I don't think we should have this talk if we can't have the skills to help someone who is depressed, because of course there's someone who is depressed outside there, but they really need our help. So niko depressed, umenikujia, but nakuangalia tu. What will you do, Esther?
Nitashindwa tu kitu ya kufanya kama utaniambia.
Na sasa ukishindwa kitu ya kufanya, Esther,
I'll refer you to somebody.
Who?
Maybe in here in church I'll refer
Okay.
you to our pastor.
Okay,
Yeah.
that I think that is
Yeah.
very
Or
normal.
maybe to our patron,
Yes.
because you are a male.
Yes.
I'll refer to somebody who is.
Yes.
will
So
help
I
you.
think what I really wanted to come out of you imekuja. You really have to look at maybe who is this. Kama ni male, maybe umeni approach, but I'm not comfortable with the female, so you refer me to someone. Yes. Jano, we pia una play key role hapa kwa church. Niko depressed.
It is hard for you to tell when someone is depressed. I think I can just know that you're not okay if you start behaving in a certain way that we are not used to. I know Dawn is a friendly person, an outgoing person. And so if I find out that you are just withdrawn and you've isolated yourself from the symptoms that I see, then I can be able now to tell there is something wrong with Dawn, but I will not say you are depressed. Like, I will not be quick to conclude that you are depressed, because even yourself probably even don't know that you are depressed. So depending on the signs and the symptoms that I see, I'm able to kindly I'm not brave enough to approach you, but I am able to share with my pastor. I can be able to share with a friend that I know you are very close to, and nimwambie mi naona Dawn ni kama hayuko poa. And because I don't know how you will react directly when I approach to you, I think I'll be nasi mushene. I will be able to talk to another person who will be able to reach you directly, someone who knows you very well. So Pasi can be one person, or a patron, as she says, or a very close friend who most likely has already noticed and can like now confirm ni ukweli Dawn hayuko poa. So what do we do about that? Tuanzia hapo.
I think that is also so good, right? Au ni females wameongea. Sasa George bana, niko depressed and you really have to help me.
Me personally, what I would do is I would try to talk to you as if the way I usually talk to you every day. Like, unaendeleaje, how you doing, are you all right? And if you are willing to open up, then we'll have a conversation. But if I see that you are not opening up, then maybe I'll talk to one of your friends to go and talk to you, so that at least we know what we are dealing with. But if you are still not willing to talk, then maybe I'll go the route that Esther suggested of referring you to someone or referring someone to you. Yeah.
But you've talked to me. I didn't open up to you. You told me you are referring me to Pasi. Mi nakwambia naogopa Pasi, nakwambia naogopa matron, nakwambia naogopa patron. I don't want to do that, and I can't do that. And you tell me about my friend, I'm telling you, no, I'm not opening up this to anyone. What will you do?
Wow. If you are not willing to talk to anyone, then I don't know. I really don't know how to I don't. You have
can
to be
tell
willing
me.
to talk.
Yes, share. I'm not doing anything. Mi nakwambia hata uende wapi sitafanya anything that you want. What will you do?
For me, I've come to learn something, that you should listen to what you are not told at some point. If I've already seen your signs, maybe I can go and do some research, or maybe if you don't want me to refer you to my pastor, our patron, I can try your family members. Maybe I think you should, at some point, you should listen to what you're not told. Yeah, maybe take you out for coffee, at least.
Exactly. Exactly. You should. I think because I want to tell you for sure, a lot of people are depressed and they will never tell you that they are, and they will never accept that you tell anyone. So venye jana alikuwa anasema ati ananijua, I wanted Jano to use that. The first thing you should understand about a person is understand the personality, understand vitu anapenda. Huyu mtu mwenyewe apendi, amekata ku open up to any other person, if there are people who love maybe going out, or these are people who love food, just go with them out, and don't give them their space, just give them their space, and then ata open up peke yake, because if someone is depressed to that point, and as we had discussed before, he or she will try to really retract from the things they love, but not because they really want to, because maybe they don't have that energy. Try bring that energy in them by doing them what they love, by taking them to where they like going, and bit by bit they will open up. But the most important thing that I've noticed is give people time. Mtu anaweza kuja sahi kwako anataka ku open up, but anafika kwako tena anaanza anaogopa. Just give them time, but keep them in conversation, and then little by 3 days ataanza kukuambia, oh, mina feel hivi. Like I think right now I have a case that I'm really handling, lakini haja open up, na ni dem ananiambia, don't people just think that mental breakdown lazima ni kule takataka ama makaratasi kwa njia. Mtu akishakwambia hivyo, jua tu wako depressed, but then give them time, keep checking up on them like daily, and then make them feel comfortable. So the most important thing is to make someone vulnerable to you. And you know how that works? Just make them feel comfortable. When someone feels comfortable around you, they'll also voluntarily be vulnerable to you. Like you feel like anaweza share anything with you, and from then you can talk it out. But don't assume utanirifa kwa mtu huo nitakata. You really understand, eh? Yes. Any other thing else, or mtu mwenye akona another approach?
Okay, I was just thinking, I've done all that. I'm trying to create a rapport to bring this person to trusting me, but this person still doesn't want to open up. And it's always said, the first step to recovery is the victim accepting that I need help. So at what point will this person, how will you help this first person first accept that they need help? If from within hawaoni wako na shida. Yes. So I think we need also to check on that, because I would go all that way, take this person to coffee, pesa yangu itaisha, na bado ha open up. I'm giving this person space. But until they accept they have a problem, that's the first step. They'll now know I need to talk to this person. And so because Janet has been working with me, she's the right person for me to speak to. How do you help someone to accept or to identify that they have that problem?
True. I think that is also very true. Anyone else? Yes. 1 minute.
Yes, how you can help such a person is maybe exposing the person to some people with the same conditions who you are aware of. They have the same conditions. Just an exposure, not indulging them too much, but just exposing that person to some people who had the same experience.
I think that is also true. I've seen it that there are people who are depressed and they think that the only people who are depressed in this world. Kuna mtu anaweza kuwa na ugonjwa na ana feel like niye peke yake kuna ugonjwa, but the moment you show them that this is not your thing, si yako peke yako, they really feel comfortable, like okay, like someone else is also going through what I'm going through, so this is not my thing, this is maybe this is something for everyone. That could also easily maybe let them open up. I think that can also work. So in case I'm leaving someone out, I would want to go to the next level. Or anyone before we finalize on our next or the second last level, anyone could tell us anything that they have heard about depression that maybe they want us to maybe talk about, something that you heard outside there that you really think you yourself maybe ujai jua kama ni ukweli ama ni uongo about depression. Nyinyi mko tu sawa, hamjai kuwa depressed? Is it true that someone could be depressed na wajui? George, you don't know?
I don't think so. I don't think you can be depressed and you don't know, because you'll realize you have a problem. Maybe you won't know it's called depression, but you'll realize there's something's not right.
So is it true that someone could be depressed without knowing?
Yes.
Because you are saying utajua niko na shida, but kwani shida yote ni depression? So is it true that someone could be depressed and they don't know? Yes.
I think yes.
Yes.
Yes, when I was in primary school, I used to score very low grades, and then I didn't have friends. But one day, my teacher realized that I have a potential, and I didn't know that I was depressed. As we were talking, I started opening up. She became my friend. Every time I had a problem, I would go to her. So by then I started improving myself. I started realizing myself. That is when I realized that I was depressed. I think it can happen.
Okay. That is a real life case. Hatuwezi dispute. Unaweza kataa sasa. So it is true. I think it is very true that someone could get depressed without them realizing that they are depressed. It could be in a psychological stage still. It could be in the early stages of depression. You cannot know that you're depressed. Yes. I was asking about someone kuna vitu huwa mnasikia about depression yenye wewe hujaipata answers, because I think it's an open discussion. I shouldn't really. Yes. Someone? No one. You had a question about personality, and then we finalize.
My question was, how can depression be related to personality? Being an introvert, extrovert, how can we know that they are one? It can affect even the introverts and even the extroverts.
Yes. Anauliza how personality could affect, or how personality is related to depression. Personality ni who you are, wewe. Sasa wewe sasa uko na personality gani? Unakuanga umenyamaza, si ndio? Maybe kitu kama hiyo. So unajua tunaweza confuse hiyo kunyamaza kwako na depression. So is it true that personality could be in one way or the other related to depression? Yes.
I think for me, as an introvert, Beth ananijua mtu mwenye tu amenyamaza, ametulia, hana maneno mob. And earlier we saw that signs of depression ni mtu anaji-withdraw from other people, ana lose interest na hayuko social with other people. As an introvert, I'm not a social being. Then in this case, I'm depressed. I think it will be hard for Beth to know that I am depressed, because amenizoea mimi ni wa kutulia, watu wanapiga stories kwangi nimechangia. So at least I think for introverts will suffer more, will suffer sana because it will take time for a person to realize they are depressed.
So your personality really can affect.
Yeah, it can for
Yes.
for an introvert.
Okay.
Extrovert ni rahisi.
Okay. Alafu kuna wale watu hata ukiwakanyaga hivi washakasirika, si ndio? I think kuna watu wanazaliwa hivyo, they are easily agitated. That could be chemical imbalance in them that they're born with, or any other disorder. But sasa kama we ni mtu unakuwa agitated every time or irritated every time, and we saw that as a sign of depression, could that affect, that could be their personality as individual. Unakasirikanga haraka, we ni mtu wa kukasirika. How is that going to affect you when you're depressed? Someone else? Jano? Quickly, just 45 seconds. Evie.
Okay, I go back to my definition of depression, where I said it's the extreme low energy. And okay, it is true you can be depressed but not know, because you might think that is who you are, depending on your personality. So being Janet, who is hot-tempered, and that is who I am, working on it. But what will differentiate depression and my personality is the episodes, or the period at which I'm getting agitated. Because if I'm agitated today, tomorrow, the other day, and now that raises an alarm. But if it's just a normal sadness, that is normal to everyone, then I would not term that as depression. But if it's an episode that lasts for a certain period of time and it's interfering with my normal activity, then we can cut the line. Then we know that is depression, and this is a personality of a person. So I think it is very important for every person to identify who they are, so as when they are on the other side, hawatajificha to their personality yet, they are depressed.
So that is coming out so clearly that people tend to hide, or they hide kutumia their personalities, and you don't even realize that they're depressed. So personality is true that it's really a factor to how personality would affect, or rather personality is one of the factors that would make it difficult for someone to realize that they're really depressed. So we'll divide the last two questions to the best practices. We have to find the best practices. Now that someone is depressed, what are the best practices? So I'll pick randomly the two of you, the best practices mtupatie mbili. Lakini hapa kuna conflict of interest. The best practices, zile vitu unafaa kufanya, vitu unafaa ku really keep in mind. Generally, someone is depressed, the best practices, and then I think the two of you again pia mtupatie. But then I'll give out what I think. So the two of you discuss. Nyie ni kama memaliza? Okay. So before we go to Warren, best practices when handling depression, I think one, you should really know someone. You should really know one's personality. And then the next thing that you should really figure out is, who is this person comfortable with? If she's a male, maybe if he's a male, he's comfortable to opening up to another male. So you shouldn't rule that factor of that I'm a boy. You should really come and find out niko comfortable to open up to who. You should just not do an overrule of, no, you just go and open up to the matron. No, that won't work. And that I think is not really a good practice. So those are two that I think. So Warren, you give us your side.
Maybe you should know the root of that depression. What has caused that depression? And when you have known the root of that depression, you should help the person to go by that route. Because if you tend to make the person avoid it, you never know, it may come again later. So the basic thing is just knowing the root of that depression.
So I think that is so clear and so very important, because what I think depression can relapse. You can be depressed because of how my parents treated me, and you didn't really know the root. So you should find the root so that it gets addressed from the root. Because you help me but you didn't help the root, then it might relapse. Yeah, my parent might treat me the way they treated me, and then it relapses. So that is very important. I think that is a best practice. Then from this side, I'm gonna best practice. Anything about depression that you think should be key to us as youths?
The way you think. Yani, when you are depressed, what were you thinking? Then, what am I supposed to be thinking? The state of your mind. Yes.
Thank you. I think that goes back to the energy you emit. It should be positivity. Yeah? You should always be positive about things so that you don't get to that state. Yes. Our last segment, solutions, remedy. But then I want to add it to the issue of depression has been addressed for so long, and it is something that is being addressed. But then we keep on seeing young die. We keep on seeing people cutting their wrists. What do you think is missing out? What do you think is not being addressed? Because yes, the issue generally is being addressed, but we still keep seeing the cases. We still keep on seeing people depressed. There must be something that is not being addressed or not being addressed well. What do you think this could be? Yes, Esther.
I'm thinking of accountability. We are not accountable of each other. So maybe that's why we find more cases of depression. And maybe I'll urge each and every person to have somebody who is accountable of. For teens, they can have a mentor. For us, at least we have our matron and our patron, we have our pastors. Let us be accountable to each other.
Okay, also tell those people who don't have patrons and matrons, because we are talking about...
You can have, maybe you have a big sister, maybe you have a brother, somebody who you are comfortable with, somebody who maybe is taking you through this life. As for me, I have my friend, a big sister. She's older than me, and I think each and every time I feel I'm not okay, lazima tu nitamwendea nimwambie, hi, mimi feel vizuri hivi. You must have that person who you are accountable for. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Someone else? Someone else? Yes.
I also think we need to build safe spaces for people to be vulnerable and to be understood, to be trusted, because confidentiality comes with openness, and also for someone to feel safe to open up to somebody is something very key. So we need to build those safe spaces for people to feel vulnerable and to be trusted and to be understood.
Thank you. I think that is also very key. The last person? Someone? Yes.
I think what is missing out is that we always talk about depression, that depression is real. But what is missing out is that there are no real people for us to go to them, for us who are depressed to go to them. Maybe I have a friend, but I do not trust them. There are no real people for us to go and talk to about depression. So for us talking to people who are depressed, let us also talk to the people who can help those who are depressed.
Thank you. 30 seconds.
Lastly, I think we should create an environment of openness where people are encouraged to talk at the workplace, at church, at school, even at the family level, where people discuss their problems openly without feeling like they'll be discriminated for what they're going through.
So finally, because we agreed, it is good to be vulnerable, and men are not vulnerable. So mtu yote mwenye akona mic, ashike mic, aambie camera, tell men to cry. It is good to cry. It is good to be vulnerable. Is it true that boys should not cry? Yes, so it is good to be vulnerable, and I don't mean vulnerable I don't just mean to cry is a sign of being vulnerable, and crying is not a sign of weakness. but I think it's a sign of making yourself get relieved out of some things. But you must just not necessarily cry, but at least be vulnerable to someone. It is very important. Okay? Yeah. So to everyone who's watching this, I think it is very important that we come together, reach someone. I'm also doing some hashtags, by the way, on social media, and I really want to be an advocate for mental health. You can use hashtag talk to me, 2 figure, talk to me. And then because this will go to every other person outside there, in case of any other thing, you might want to contact the relevant authority. You can contact our Reverend Kenneth Yuyu, and the number is clear here: 0724 907774. Thank you for your time.